Hello, everyone. Lovely to see everyone. Welcome, welcome. All right, guys. So unfortunately, our regular host is not feeling well. So this is the very first time that I'm going to be the host and the guest speaker. So please bear with me as we go through the slide deck. But I'm really excited to talk about today's topic. We're going to make sure that we're not going to let our Q4 lists go cold. And I'm just going to teach you how to actually target and engage with your customers in Q1. All right, so I hope that everybody can see my screen. Let me go ahead and get everything pulled up here. All right. So again, my name is Sadie. I am a senior customer success manager here at Omnisend, and I've been with Omnisend for over 5 years, almost 6 years in May. So it has been a very long journey, and I've worked with clients one-on-one for the whole entire time that I've been with Omnisend, and I love working with brands like yourselves. But enough about myself. Let's go ahead and get into the topic of today. Also, just some things to know. This session is being recorded, so if you want to look back, if you're old-fashioned like I am and like to take notes on a pen with pen and paper, we will be recording this session. So if you miss anything, you can always go back and look. Recording will be available shortly, and then, as always, please ask any questions that you have in the Q&A tab. I do have a couple members on my team in this webinar, so they will be answering those questions as we go through the slides. All right. Now, let's see here. Our agenda for today, we're going to be talking about the importance of segmentation, especially in Q1. I will show you a segment overview of some of the most important segments that I think that a lot of people miss out on. Now, I have actually spoken on this subject a couple of other times. So if you haven't watched my past webinars, I highly encourage you to do so. There's going to be a lot more information about those really core segments that you should already have. This is just more supplemental. So please go back and watch those if you haven't already done so. But again, we'll go over in depth what some of these segments are. I'm also going to share some common mistakes to avoid that I see a lot of my clients doing. I will also share some additional tips. And of course, we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So please feel free to ask any questions. All right. Things that you're going to learn today. We're going to show you how to identify your most valuable audiences from Q4, so that way you can utilize them now in Q1. We're also going to talk about how to segment your Q4 contacts based on their intent and behavior. And then obviously we're going to show you which segments you should be prioritizing and maybe which ones you should be pausing on right now. All right. Next slide. So why are we here? Why does segmentation matter in Q1? Also, I'm a zillennial, that like weird generation between millennials and Gen Zs. So I always share SpongeBob memes. So hopefully some people appreciate it. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this. All right. So again, the importance of Q1 segmentation. We know that average open and click rates drop in Q1, and so many brands take this as a sign to stop sending altogether because they assume that everyone is burnt out after the holidays. We get it. We understand. This assumption, however, can do more harm than good. These new subscribers that you worked hard to acquire in Q4 are unfortunately going to be ignored. We also kind of get into that vacation mode as well after the holidays, and it's kind of hard to get started back up. I know I took a little bit of time off in the holidays, and it's always really painful to try and get pepped up and ready for Q1. But if you ignore a new relationship for too long, they're eventually going to disappear. And when you eventually send a campaign, you might notice a really high unsubscribe rate. So overall, the biggest mistake that brands make in after Q4 is just disappearing. And all of your subscribers will too if you don't stay active. All right, so let's go over the key segments for Q1. All All right. So you'll notice that I've highlighted the Q4 behavior to create Q1 segments. And then I've assigned a goal behind each of these segments, making it applicable for you in your specific situation. So as we do a deep dive into each segment, I will highlight how to create these segments in Omnisend, when you will actually want to use them, and why they can actually be impactful. All right, so let's get into it. First and foremost, we have one-time purchasers. I really want to focus on this group during the post-holiday period. And note that these slides will be shared again after the presentation. So if you want to replicate these segments in Omnisend, you can use these screenshots to do so. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the how, when, and why of one-time purchasers. Okay, so how are we going to build this segment in Omnisend? We're going to make sure that we are making the order count equal to 1. Maybe it's more than 1, but more specifically, we want to make sure that that order was placed in between November 1st, December 31st, or whatever your Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or your promotional period was. You can choose the entire Q4. If you only did Black Friday, Cyber Monday, maybe choose just those singular dates. You can add whether or not they've been subscribed to email, and then you can also add additional filter set for average order value over X value for those like high lifetime value customers. But we'll actually discuss high lifetime value customers in a later segment. Okay, so when do you want to actually use this? So now, early to mid-January. It's really great to hit while you are still fresh in their mind. After a product delivery, so 5 to 10 days post fulfillment for a thank you, a cross-sell workflow, a reorder, or just a simple product education. This is an opportunity that I see too many brands miss out on. And then you can also go late into January and into February especially for those like highly consumable products. If dormant, send a reactivation email with incentive or a personalized message to try and get them to engage with you again. All right, why you want to use this segment. First to second purchase is the most important jump in building long-term customer value. We all know this. They've already shown interest, but they just haven't built that loyalty yet. So this is a really great opportunity to use that. Strategic follow-ups can turn them into repeat buyers with minimal acquisition cost. We've already spent so much money acquiring them. They made that first purchase. Try and get them to make that second purchase. Post-holiday, they also might be open for buying for themselves. Maybe they purchase from you for a gift for their loved one, a friend, something like that. So yeah, maybe they're interested now to buy for themselves versus gifting. All right. Next, we have window shoppers. This is where I personally see the highest potential for purchase when working with my clients. Okay, so how are we going to build it? We're going to use the viewed product, viewed category, added to cart, added to checkout, and they haven't placed an order within a specific time period. You could also add click if you wanted to, just to see if they're also engaged. But I feel like the product browse, cart, checkout, abandon are really great ones to start out with. When do we want to use this? Now, again, retarget with still interested messaging. Hopefully you've already had the opportunity and you already have your browse and product abandonment workflows doing this, but use this whenever you're sending your regular campaigns, and notice the revenue when looking at this segment reporting in Omnisend, which we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. If you've attended my previous webinars, then you know all about segment reporting in Omnisend, but you'll probably be quite pleased at the performance and the revenue from this specific segment. You also want to use this whenever you're running winter clearance or warehouse cleaners or New Year's promotions. They've already showed that interest again. You can also send this right after back in stock alerts. Maybe you sold out of a particular product that they wanted in Q4, and this is a really great opportunity to close those potential customers. All right, and then why do you want to use it? These shoppers already showed interest. They just haven't converted quite yet. And then relevance and urgency is a perfect Q1 conversion play. These segments are low cost to retarget and perfect for personalized nudges. And they're ideal for conversion campaigns without discounting. Again, they've already showed that interest. you don't necessarily have to discount in this regard. All right, let's go to our third segment, the deal-driven buyers. Okay, so how are we going to build this? We are going to use the order placed or placed an order filter during Q4. And they used a discount code, but maybe you didn't use a discount code in the Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. Maybe all of your products were just on discount. There was no coupon necessary. Just make sure that they purchased during that known promotion period. All right, when do you want to use this? Again, now is a really great time. Send those last chance promos or price match offers. Also, when launching Q1 seasonal promotions like your winter sale, clearance, warehouse cleanouts, again, all of those. These are very similar to your window shoppers, but with discounts in mind. So again, this is a really great opportunity to try and get those people to make that purchase. And then two, during slow weeks, we know January typically is very slow. So that mid-month post paycheck, this is a really great time and opportunity to try and get those deal-driven buyers to purchase again. All right, so why do you want to use this? Again, these customers are deal motivated, but they're not necessarily loyal. And then you can also test price sensitivity if you're kickstarting your loyalty system, start building loyalty behavior by promoting points instead of promos. Again, I think this is a really great opportunity to test. All right, next, let's go into high lifetime value shoppers, especially during the holidays. Okay, so how are you going to build the segment in Omnisend? You want to use the placed order over a specific value, and I like to encourage my users to think about your high value threshold and use that as your total spend. Then you want to see if their order count is over a specific value. Again, if you have wholesale customers and they purchase with a high order value, maybe you want to increase that order count just to ensure that we're not just sending any sort of campaigns to those wholesale buyers. And then you want to make sure that their last order placed was during Q4. All right, when do you want to use this? Again, immediately in Q1, thank you campaigns, VIP early access. Guys, we need to be doing the minimum and thanking these customers, especially this segment. They continue to purchase with you again and again. And sometimes I think we just forget about them and, just see them as another number. But you can also trigger automated emails thanking them once they have reached that high lifetime value status, not just in Q1, but at all times. And then before Valentine's Day or early Q1 launches, you can send them invite-only offers. Again, another great opportunity for loyalty pushes again. You can also use this for cross-sell or product bundle emails. And then lastly, why you want to use these. These are your most valuable customers. It costs way less to retain them than to replace them. A tailored post Q4 experience boosts reputation and it does prevent drop off. And high lifetime value buyers are a great candidate for referrals, UGC, and social sharing. So again, really great segment to utilize. All right, and last but not least, we have our cold subscriber segment. All right, so how are we going to build this in Omnisend? We're going to ensure that they're subscribed to email during the Q4 period. They haven't placed an order. And then depending how you want to utilize this segment, you can also say whether or not they've been engaged with any emails. I think this is a great opportunity to send them down an educational welcome or a product discovery automation now that the holiday noise is gone, to ensure that they are educated on your product. Again, you really worked hard to acquire these customers in subscribers in Q4, potential customers. So yeah, use that opportunity to educate them more so instead of just throwing a bunch of holiday promotions in their face. All right, so when do you want to use this? Again, early January, start an onboarding or a discovery series. Mid-January, maybe you want to test product focused, or did you see these reactivation campaigns? And then also in late Q1, if you are seeing that they're fully inactive, they're not engaging with your emails. Maybe they're just really excited to purchase this for a family member or a friend and aren't interested in your content, didn't actually end up purchasing. Maybe it's time to sunset them if they're truly inactive. All right. And then, of course, why do we want to use this segment? They signed up for a reason, and now's the time to rekindle that interest. And then Q1 is the perfect, less noisy environment. Again, we're not throwing promotion after promotion after promotion to these people. So now is a really great time for that education-based marketing. Segmenting them separately also prevents fatigue for loyal buyers with entry-level content. Again, this is why we're here. This is why we're segmenting. It's just to make sure that we're making the most personalized relative content for each of these segments based on where they're at in their customer journey. All right, and let's see. The most important thing is obviously to sunset after some time to ensure you don't hurt your deliverability and you maintain a clean and engaged list. All right. Now that we have done a deep dive into these segments, let's chat about the biggest mistakes and things to avoid in Q1. Plus, I can't leave you without providing some additional tips. All right, so things to avoid. Waiting too long to re-engage. We've already discussed this. If you don't prioritize your relationship with these contacts, they will eventually leave. Next thing to avoid is treating all of your buyers the same. Kind of how I was talking about in the last segment. We talked about also deal-driven buyers. Don't continue to send promotion after promotion to your high lifetime value customers, cheapening yourself and your brand when you know that there's a specific audience that are more deal-driven. Also, when sending entry-level education to your cold subscribers and one-time purchasers, you should be excluding those high lifetime value customers. They already know you and your brand. Don't send them too much information, leaving them questioning whether they should even be subscribed to your list if you're not taking into consideration how they're already purchasing. And then lastly, emailing all subscribers all the time, especially in Q1. If you haven't already watched my other webinars on core segments where I go into more detail as to why this is important, again, I highly encourage you to go watch those. But yeah, next, let's go over some additional tips. All right. Personalized targeting. You guys have the opportunity here to cater your email campaigns based on the audience that you're sending to. Do you have a warehouse sale and are trying to move a surplus of inventory? Include a content block in your email campaign that's only visible to those deal-driven buyers to try and get them to purchase with that specific campaign. Or maybe you're sending a campaign highlighting a specific product. Include more educational content and display only for those who have not purchased or maybe have only purchased one time. This allows you to send to a larger audience, but keeping it relevant to specific audiences. I wouldn't encourage you to send a campaign to your deal-driven buyer segment. You might notice that your engagement's really low. It could do harm to your deliverability. So looking at all of these segments, it's never really a good idea to send just to one singular segment. Again, I go into a little bit more detail about that in my previous webinars, but these are really great to use in automations for specific targeting and obviously personalized targeting in your email campaigns that you're already sending. So next, segment reporting. This is an amazing tool that allows you to see directly how specific segments are performing against others. Is it now Q2 and you're curious whether or not you should still be sending to those cold subscribers from Q4? Ensure that you include that segment on contacts when selecting which segments you're sending to and compare the performance to your 30, 60, 90-day engaged list and feel more validated in your decision after looking at this report of possibly unsubscribing or doing something different with these cold subscribers. Again, really great report to use. You can see this in your campaign reporting. And then if you're on the pro plan with Omnisend, you can actually see this in your overall reporting. All right. And then I feel like I've talked about this every single webinar on segmentation, but using Omnisend AI to help build those segments. Take the guesswork out of creating segments. There are so many filters out there, and it's incredibly easy to feel overwhelmed. Where do I even start? Just spit your ideas into this AI tool, and it can help at least start you in the right direction, and can definitely help you build the exact segment that you're looking for. So again, really great opportunity here. All right, now let's go ahead and summarize all that we've discussed today. Okay, so first, segmentation doesn't stop after your Q4 promotions. It just continues to evolve. Q1 is a retention opportunity. If you don't have to view the beginning of the year as a reset for everything, I know a lot of people think, okay, now we're in the new year. Let's just restart and forget everything that I've done in the past. Let's just take this opportunity to clean everything up. But you don't always have to have that mindset. This is a great opportunity to test content and to personalize to ensure your subscribers feel like they are being communicated to directly and not just another audience member who was sent another boring email blast. You've done the hard work to build your list in Q4. So now let's make it work for you in Q1 and beyond. Perfect. All right, guys, Q&A time. Bear with me while I adjust my settings here. All right, so if you guys have any questions for myself, we'll give you a couple of minutes just to ask those in the chat. And then if we don't have any questions in the next few minutes, then I will let you guys go. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this webinar, take notes. If you, again, have any questions, now is your opportunity. But we also have Omnisend support who is there 24/7, 365. So if you have any questions that you weren't able to answer during this time, please use that resource. It's a really great tool. And our support team are amazing people as well. So this is really great. Perfect. Let's see. Yeah, and again, recording will be sent to you guys in a few days. And if you want to check out some of my other webinars that I've done, then YouTube is a great resource to try and find those. Perfect. All right. Well, I don't see any questions, so thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic day, fantastic week. Stay warm if you're in some of those colder environments like myself, and I will hopefully see you guys soon. Thank you all so much. Bye.